Good morning, gentlemen. So today we're going to be studying supply. This is the supply topic that follows demand, which matches up to page 37 of your workbook. So yesterday you were set an activity to show the impact on the demand for Pepsi when we see a decrease in the price of Coca-Cola. So I would expect that you would have drawn a decrease in the demand for Pepsi, which would have seen your demand curve shift to the left from D1 to D2, which represents on D2 less quantity demanded at each and every price. This is because Pepsi has now become relatively less attractive since Coca-Cola, the substitute good, has become relatively cheaper. So consumers who were previously consuming Pepsi would have moved into the market for Coca-Cola. Okay, so just following that point and moving into supply, I'd like you to direct your eyes to the slide in front of us here. And you can see that supply refers to the quantity of a good or service that a business is willing and able to supply at different prices over a period of time. So firms will be able to supply more or less depending on the price of the good. So if we follow to the third bullet point, we'll see that there's the law of supply. Now the law of supply states that as prices increase, quantity supplied increases. Vice versa, as the price decreases, quantity supplied of that good or service decreases. And this is all subject to ceteris paribus, our favorite Latin saying, which refers to all other factors remaining the same. So we're just talking about a price change in the law of supply. So the reason why firms are able to supply more or quantity supplied increases when prices rise is because they're able to generate more profit. And this comes about from increased revenue at a higher price. So I've got 3 bullet points there which provide just some explanation of these terms: revenue, profit, and cost of business, because we'll be referring to them throughout the supply topic. So revenue is simply the price of the good, which we know will change. But revenue is the price of a good times the amount of goods sold, which again we know will change depending on the price. So price times quantity gives us the total revenue. And revenue, that's the amount of cash dollars or money that's flowing into a business from the course of selling its products. Well, profit is a key term. It's an absolutely essential term because it's the amount of money the business essentially gets to keep once it's accounted for all its costs for the business to run. And so the calculation for profit is revenue minus the cost of business. Now, cost of business, it's different in economics than it is in accounting, because in economics, we also account for opportunity cost. So total economic cost is the accounting cost, which is dollars out the door, along with the opportunity cost, which reflects the missed opportunity of using your resources for producing something else. So moving to our second slide here, and so this is all these slides are contained in the PowerPoint uploaded to Graminet entitled BEA PowerPoint 6 Supply 1. So similar to our demand topic, we have a supply schedule. And the supply schedule is simply a table which shows the quantity supplied at different prices. So it shows the law of supply in terms of that positive relationship between price and quantity supplied. So if we cast our eyes to Hamilton's Honey weekly supply schedule, we'll see that as the price rises from $10 through to $60, the quantity supplied will also increase from 20 to 120. So you'll see on this slide, it's going to set some activities for you guys. If you could please complete activities 44 and 45 on page 37 of the workbook. I wouldn't expect that that would take you very long at all. So moving across to slide 3, the third of the 4 slides that we're going to cover today in this lesson. This introduces us to supply curves. Now, very similar to the demand topic and demand schedules, the demand schedule is used to create a demand curve. A supply curve is constructed from a supply schedule, which we looked at on slide 2. So if we cast our eyes down to the market supply of butter weekly, we'll see that the supply curve is an upward sloping curve heading in the opposite direction, you could say, to our demand curve, in the sense that quantity on our x-axis here increases along with price increasing. Our demand curve went the other way in terms of price decreasing brings about an increase in quantity demanded. So if we have our starting point of P1 here, so it's $3. Let's say it's $3 for a 500 gram container of butter. We'll see that 40,000 units are supplied by the producers of butter. Now, if we have a decrease in the price to P3, so from $3 to $2, P1 to P3, this brings about a decrease in quantity supplied from Q1 to Q3, or 40,000 to 30,000. Just like our price changes on a demand curve, when we have a price change, it's a movement along the curve. And so the decrease in price means our producers are going to decrease their quantity supplied. This is because at the lower price of P3, they aren't able to make a profit on the units above 30,000. So they decrease their quantity supplied so that they don't make a loss, which is like a negative profit. On the other side of the coin, if we increase the price from P1 to P2, or $3 to $4, we get an expansion in quantity supplied, a movement along the curve, upwards on both axes. So we'll see at $4 or P2, that matches a quantity supplied of 50,000 units, or 50,000 tubs of butter, which we referred to as Q2 here. So supply curves are built from the data contained in a supply schedule. So moving on to our final slide of the day, gentlemen. This is again another activity for you, and I'm sure you're going to love this one. And that is activity 46 on page 38. So it's simply taking Hamilton's Honey Weekly supply schedule and crafting a supply curve from that data. Just a handy reminder of our tall hint: title, axis, line, label. So the same conventions that we use for graphing demand curves apply for supply curves. Well, all the best for today, guys. Any questions or issues, please email me at t.horrocks@ags.school.nz. Kia kaha.